1, 2.
Say, yep. Everybody screaming, come save me, and I can't even help looking to me for answers. I need them myself, answers coming so lately, but I trust in you with all games aside.
A few days ago, my wife and I had a brutally honest conversation about our future as a married couple and the overall trajectory of our family. The premise of this conversation had to do with my wife and I's desire to buy a house. Being a homeowner has been a huge topic of conversation between my wife and I, especially considering we now have a daughter and desire to have more children. Needless to say, we're going to need more space. As my wife and I began our conversation about how we are going to obtain this dream of ours, we quickly began to realize we were not on the same page. So we began to argue, and like most arguments, it takes a lot of back and forth before you get to the root of the issue. So we're arguing and whatnot, and somewhere during the course of our argument, I asked my wife, why doesn't she just submit to me? Ooh, I know, right? Now is the time I tell you she got up and slapped me. Well, gratefully, she didn't slap me. But you ever heard the saying, don't ask a question you don't want to know the answer to? Well, that quickly became a motif I wish I would have obeyed. My wife looked straight into my eyes and told me she didn't trust my decision making, that she felt unsecure because of the way I not handle our family affairs. Immediately, my heart sank. I became defensive and asked her what exactly did she mean. Fellas, listen to me. Don't ask a question you don't want the answer to. My wife began to list few incidents where I dragged my feet in handling business, whether it be paying bills, following up on medical expenses, fixing something that was broken, whatever. So naturally, I grew more defensive and gave so many excuses for every incident that she threw at me. Well, after our argument, and I had time to cool off, it dawned on me how right she was. I can remember time after time I have dropped the ball in handling our business. I failed at being the man of the household. I could even remember apologizing for saying sorry too much. And these thoughts were exactly what I needed to have a pity party. I began to try and rationalize why I was the way I was. I started playing the blame game. I blamed the way I was raised, or maybe my father's lack of constant presence in my life. I remember even telling myself or lying to myself that I was doing a great job and that my wife was just used to her father doing everything for her. And as quickly as that thought came in, is how quickly the light bulb in my head went off. Like, that's how it's supposed to be, right? You see, my wife had a reference for how a husband or a father should conduct himself when handling business. My wife has mentioned to me before how exhausted she felt at times dealing with her father because he was relentless when he was handling business. Although my father wasn't constantly present in my life, my mom always surrounded me around father figures and mentors who instilled in me this one belief, that men are doers. And to be frank, I wasn't doing correctly. And after having this aha moment, I dropped on my knees and I asked the Lord to help me become more disciplined, especially when it came to handling my business. You see, my deepest desire is to have a wife that feels safe and secure and that she trusts my decision making. Even more, I want the same for my daughter. I want her to see her father relentlessly handling business, because she deserves that. But if it wasn't for the Lord's constant correction in my life, I would have remained in that pity party. And I now know what I need to do. Instead of asking my wife to submit to me, I need to submit to the Lord in His correction, however that may come. You see, in this moment of time, it was my turn to submit to my wife's and her complaints. And I leave you all what the Lord gave me. James chapter 1, verse 19. Know this, My beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger.
Be quick to let go, move slow. When I was younger, my mama told me, baby, just keep walking slow like my glasses. Baby, just keep walking slow